Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, our guest today is Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Stan Cooke. Also, the V team is taking a look at the governor's plan for reform at Tutwiler Prison. And Mark White says that the contract with American Pharmacy Cooperative Inc. has been vetted. I don't think so. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V team.
Good morning.
Good morning, and Palm Sunday morning it is as well.
And nice little bunnies and eggs.
Thank you.
Interesting thing this past week, Mark White, Mike Hubbard's attorney, has said that Hubbard's contract with the American Pharmacy Cooperative Inc. was vetted with the Ethics Commission. He said that in print. Let's listen to a tape that I recorded, a conversation between me and Jim Sumner, 2013. Roll the tape.
Okay, so you didn't actually physically see the contract. You just talked to him about it.
No, he just came to talk to us because he just wanted to make sure everything was in order and not an issue under the ethics law.
Right.
And he didn't bring anything with him. It was him sitting here by himself, and Hugh Evans and I sitting there talking to him.
Okay.
So, no, I never saw a contract and never asked to see a contract.
So there you have James Sumner, the head of the Ethics Commission, admitting that he never saw the contract and he never asked for it, Jack.
So
well, I mean, that's not what he's hired to do. He's hired to review contracts to give a yay or nay. And he clearly dropped the ball because he's sticking up for his buddy or for whatever reason.
Well, he intentionally, because he's scared to it.
Because he's the Speaker of the House. If any John Q. Public walked in with a contract who was in the legislature, it would be a different deal. But
well, you know, like I said before, they need to take the Ethics Commission from underneath funding. The legislature should not fund the Alabama Ethics Commission. That's something we need to work with legislators.
And they shouldn't have any appointment power over any of the commissioners or the ethics commissioner in general. But the bigger problem here is that they've totally failed and faltered in their duties of overseeing the legislature.
Absolutely.
Corruption is running amok. You've got Greg Wren pleading guilty. You've got other people imminently to be indicted, so they say. This all took place under the watch of Jim Sumner, and everybody's excuse is, well, I had it okayed by the Ethics Commission.
And he admits he didn't even look at it.
Right.
I mean, we have current members of the legislature having contracts with the state that they never had before they got elected. Are those contracts under review? Or are they vetted by the Ethics Commission? Probably not.
He should be gone. He should be tossed out.
Yeah.
No question.
Well, there's no doubt there's serious problems. And, you know, in 2010, give them credit, they passed legislation that said his budget was safe. His budget is not subject to the legislative body. So he's safe, but yet I never saw it. Yeah, but I never asked for it.
He's like 3 years short of retirement or whatever. I mean, there's so many things. Yeah. There's so many external factors at play here. He has failed in his responsibilities of keeping this state on the ethical up and up.
In football, we call it home cooking.
And as a lawyer, he's failed.
Well, he used to be a lobbyist too, but what are we going to do? Another thing that's happened in the past week is they're coming after the Foundation for Limited Government, run by conservative stalwart John Rice.
Former Republican senator.
Yeah. Who's coming after him, Barron?
Well, we don't know. I mean, it's secret foundations going after, you know, it's Del Marsh's secret foundation going after John Rice's foundation for attacking Mike Hubbard's foundation. I mean, this is the system the Alabama Republican Party instituted when they took over.
You're right. This is what they created because we didn't want to do PAC-to-PAC transfers anymore. So this is the smoke and screen and mirrors and shell games. So now everybody has these foundations and 501c3.
Yeah, and Del Marsh sits on the board of Foundation for Accountability and Education, and he's attacking another foundation for not disclosing donors. We're his donors. You know, ninth level of hell in Dante's Inferno is hypocrisy.
Yeah, well, we're going to see a lot of people on the ninth level sometime soon, right?
Well, but the bigger problem here is they're going after Rice saying, oh, he's taking all this AEA money. He's taking all this AEA money. I don't want to disclose a conversation I had with John that was off the record, but I came away from that conversation very convinced there's not a single penny of AEA money anywhere in his foundation. And I think if these people push this issue and they do uncap his donors, there's going to be a lot of egg on a lot of their faces.
Well, remember back about a month or 6 weeks ago, Mike Hubbard's press assistant unveiled to the, what was it, American Ethics,
Yeah,
what was
the
it, Jack?
Center for Public Integrity.
Yeah, that they taken AEA money. So he's the one taking the AEA money.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I talked to our Secretary of State recently, and we wrote an article about the fact that he said there was a complaint, and when he gets a complaint, he forwards it on to the Attorney General's office. This is standard procedure. He said he took it as a serious complaint because it was from Del Marsh, and he passed it on. And that's what he should be doing.
Then somebody ought to file a complaint against Del Marsh's foundation for the same thing.
Well, they very well may.
Good for the goose is good for the gander.
Listen, we only got about 2 minutes left. One of the other things that Mike Hubbard is doing is paying his lawyers out of his campaign fund. He has paid Mark White and Lance Bell almost $150,000 out of his campaign fund. Claire, how does that work out?
Well, my former boss, Bill Pryor, had an opinion in 2000 which basically says you cannot use excessive amounts of campaign money unless it is a criminal investigation that's ongoing. There was something with the sheriff, and what county, I'm not sure, I don't recall about all
Jefferson
that.
County.
Pursuant to an indictment,
Yeah,
though, not
to
just
an
for a
indictment.
criminal investigation.
So if this is in fact reality, then Mike is admitting that he's going to be indicted on criminal charges.
Yeah, to me it's a
We
confession.
Don't know.
To me, this is the confession. Every time he files one of these and he pays his lawyer, he is confessing, I am going to be criminally indicted. Because
he's
that's the
breaking
only,
the law.
or he's breaking the law. Those are his two options.
But Mark White has said all along that they were out there investigating journalists and people like me.
That's inconsistent with the Attorney General's opinion that they're relying on.
And you know, Pryor's a Republican, so they should be satisfied with what he writes. But you know, interesting enough, I read on some blog or on Facebook or something, supposedly the Speaker's wife went in on his Facebook because she doesn't have one and talks about what a great husband, father, et cetera, what a great leader. And I just had to laugh and chuckle. It made me think about Bill and Hillary Clinton. Stand by your man, no matter what he does.
We got about 20 seconds. Jack, what's your thought?
I don't dispute that Mike is a good husband and father, but some of the other stuff I might dispute.
Well, is it time to call Tammy Wynette and we will stand by our man? Seems like Miss Hubbard thinks so. You're watching The V. We'll be right back with Dr. Stan Cooke. He's running for lieutenant governor on the Republican ticket.
The V is sponsored by Spot On Strategies Group.
I teach. I touch the future. I am AEA.
I keep the school clean every day for your children. I am AEA.
Congratulations on your scholarship. I help children make choices for college and careers. I am AEA.
We are AEA.
In 1977, an 8-year-old boy picked up the game of golf from his father. The odds of that same boy then making it to the US and European pro golf tours, 1 in 7 million. The odds of the Big Easy winning the US Open twice, 1 in 1.2 billion. The odds of him having a child diagnosed with autism, 1 in 88. Ernie Els encourages you to learn the signs of autism.
It's time to take a road trip. In Alabama, the road and the restaurants are calling. We've elevated barbecue to an art form, a meat masterpiece. Fine dining your thing? National awards are putting us on the map. Because everything's fresh and local. And if you like your dinner with a view, well, you can't beat this. Alabama has a road trip with your name on it.
Which one you gonna take?
Welcome back to the Voice of Alabama Politics. Our guest today is Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Stan Cooke. Dr. Cooke, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
You are running for Lieutenant Governor on the Republican ticket. We have a Lieutenant Governor now who is actually a member of the GOP, but you feel we need new leadership. Why is that?
Well, Bill, we do need new leadership in the office of Lieutenant Governor. We need a leader in that position that will guide the Senate with integrity and a true leadership style that will respect the voice of the majority and the voice of the minority. Also, we need visionary leadership in that office for the people of Alabama to look up to. I want to offer myself up as that leader, and I think that I can help our state as the next Lieutenant Governor.
One of the things that I know you're interested in is the Common Core standards and how they may have a negative effect on our educational policy in Alabama. Now, the state legislature has failed to act on Common Core, even though the people have almost uniformly said they are against implementing these Common Core standards. What's your thought on Common Core?
Well, I'm 100% against Common Core. And the people all over the state of Alabama are against Common Core. They do not want Washington, D.C., 900 miles away, dictating education policy to the state of Alabama. Bill, I've always believed that we have some of the best educators, administrators right here in our state. Them, along with our parents, should be making school policy at the local level. Washington is about to take over Alabama schools through the back door called Common Core. Common Core is bad for our schools. I don't want to be common with any other state or any other country. I want to be exceptional. And that's the one thing that I admired about Ronald Reagan. He talked about American exceptionalism. Well, we will destroy that with Common Core. And one of the things about Common Core that disturbs me as a parent and a future grandparent is that we will be bringing in an educational standard that will dumb down math curriculum, it will dumb down all science curriculum, it will inject pornography into our literary teaching, and also into our health sciences. I have a textbook I brought today. This is a book that is used in over 30 states, Common Core textbook. The closest state to us is in Tennessee, and this book is entitled, It's Perfectly Normal. This book is graphic with nudity, pornographic details, teaching children how to have sex and deviant sex at that, and it's a 10-year-old level textbook. I don't want a textbook like this coming into the state of Alabama. As Lieutenant Governor, I will fight this every day until Common Core is defeated.
It's been said that Common Core is no more than a ruse to bring about corporate education of our children. There are a lot of people that believe that Common Core is part of this reform movement that actually will privatize schools, will corporatize schools. You have some ideas on school reform and education reform that maybe are, you want to tell our people about.
Well, I believe the education system that we had back in the 60s and 70s served us quite well. We produced some of the greatest minds, the greatest physicians, the greatest athletes, the greatest doctors, the greatest engineers from that educational system. It wasn't broken. I don't know why anyone wanted to fix that educational system. And when we look at what Common Core is trying to do, it is leveling the playing field and teaching to the lowest common denominator. Most of our intelligent students that we would call gifted is going to be left out of this program. They're going to be neglected with Common Core. So I say we go back to a system of teaching the basics of education in the first 6 grades like we did in the 60s and 70s. And then we focus on the main subjects of science and mathematics, literature, civics, history, and do a 6x6 program again. We need to call for an education summit in the state of Alabama, where we speak to the leadership of four-year institutions and two-year institutions and K through 12 and see how they can work together to complete that education process from kindergarten all the way through a bachelor's degree. I think we need to be working together. No one has tried that yet. That will be my approach, and I will bring all parties to the table. I do want to make this point about my approach. When we passed the Accountability Act and we were going through this process, no one from K through 12 leadership or the two-year college system or the four-year college system, private schools or Christian schools, were brought to the table to get their input, to get their wisdom. I think we made a grave mistake when we did that. We need to go back to the drawing board and look at the educational process in total. I think we can make it better. I think we can serve our children better in Alabama.
We've got 2 minutes left here. One of the things that Governor Bentley has spent a great deal of his time and effort on is bringing jobs to Alabama. Education is key to bringing jobs. But we need to bring jobs because our people are without the work that they need. How would you assist Governor Bentley in that job creation activity that he's been involved in?
There's a threefold approach into helping Governor Bentley with the great job that he's done. First of all, we examine all of our legal system for rules and regulations so that we can get regulation off the back of large and small business so they can do here in the state what they do best, and that's create jobs and produce products. The second thing that I would like to accomplish is take job recruitment to a higher level. Recruit the northern states, recruit Canada that would like to move businesses into the state of Alabama, and to match those businesses up with the skill level, the job set that's already here. And then a final thing that I would like to do is set our businesses free in Alabama for them to create additional jobs. We have many employers in the state that are looking for an opportunity to expand their business. So expand local business, recruit out-of-state business, international business, and alleviate regulation off of our businesses' back so they can create more jobs for the people of Alabama.
You and I have talked, and we've got about 30 seconds left here, about using the bully pulpit of the Lieutenant Governor's office to bring about the moral responsibilities of government. In the last 20 seconds or so, can you tell me how you want to do that?
Well, the Lieutenant Governor is one heartbeat away from becoming the governor of this state. So when you go into the office of Lieutenant Governor, you must approach it from a moral high ground, ethics, leadership with integrity. And that will be my approach to governance in this state. Always remembering that the duty and the responsibility for a higher calling may take place. Live every day with that moral attribute in mind.
We want to thank you for being our guest today. Our guest has been Dr. Stan Cooke, Republican for Lieutenant Governor. You're watching The V. We'll be right back.
The V is sponsored by Jonathan Barbie for Public Service Commissioner. And MediaWorks Communications Video Production Services for all your video production needs.
I teach. I touch the future. I am AEA.
I keep the school clean every day for your children. I am AEA.
Congratulations on your scholarship. I help children make choices for college and careers. I am AEA.
We are AEA.
Poison ivy comes a creeping
creeping around.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Stan Cooke.
Is that Poison Ivy?
Stan Cooke is a serious man, but we're
not serious people, but he's a serious
Nothing
man.
serious about what's going on at that table over there.
It's just who he's running against.
That's right. He is running against Lieutenant Governor Kay Ivey.
Poison Ivy.
Listen, this Common Core thing's a real big deal, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of that's been a big deal in the Senate the last 3 or 4 years. That's been a joke, frankly. The way she's presided over the Senate, the way she can't count to 18. I mean, if ever there was a time for a focused, serious leader, this is the time.
One of the biggest complaints the Democrats have had is the refusal to recognize them at the podium. Yeah. And I think that in any free society, we ought to encourage debate. And so to the extent that there are differing views on an issue, we ought to hear them.
Well, she's a puppet. She just does what she's told to do.
Well,
it's embarrassing as a female and a Republican.
Well, and the one thing he said that scared me to death and made me think for just a second, he made a comment during his interview that the lieutenant governor is one heartbeat away from being governor. You know,
that's scary.
That's scary.
Well, it is, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
We'd have to hire a bunch of consultants to teach her how to do the job too.
Yeah, well, she's done that to try to teach her how to be lieutenant governor. But listen, let's don't be too hard on the lieutenant governor. There's enough going on out there without that. One of which is Tutwiler Prison. And, the governor's promised reform, and he's going to bring in some new groups. Have you been looking at that, Charlana?
I have, and one of the things we've talked about on several of the shows is the prison reform and what's happened at Tutwiler. And just this last week, the governor announced that there are 3 entities that will be coming into the state of Alabama: the Council of State Governments, Justice Center, the Pew Charitable Trust, and the Bureau of Justice, who will come in behind this Moss group that the state has a $500,000 contract with and look at the entire criminal justice system in Alabama, not just the prisons. They'll look at rates of recidivism, they'll look at community corrections programs, they'll look at the Board of Pardons and Paroles and those kinds of issues to try to do a complete top-down
overhaul and study, which really needs to be done. And I commend Governor Bentley for doing this, because this has been a tremendous boiling pot in our state for over 20 years.
Yeah, and to me, it's a sign of leadership sometimes to throw up your hand and say, you know what, I don't know the answer to everything. Let me bring in some experts to help us out and try to find a good answer. I'm not one of those that loves getting a commission on everything. Right. But this is a pretty serious issue, and it's time for some experts to come in and help us out.
And that's what these folks do. One of the things that's really surprised me as I was looking at the issue this last week is that there are over 32,000 inmates in Alabama's prison systems. We are at 192% capacity. And so something is going to have to be done if we want to avoid a federal takeover, because heaven forbid in Alabama, we don't want the federal government telling us how to do anything. Well, and so this is a wonderful opportunity.
And it would bankrupt the state. I mean, we can't afford for the feds to come in and take us over.
But the Justice Bureau of Prisons is coming in along with this group, so they know that the governor is out there trying to get something done. Got a strategic plan trying to change what's going on in Alabama for the right direction.
The federal government this week last week took a giant step forward in campaign financing, and that was with the
we were at the forefront of Alabama.
McCutcheon ruling. Guy from Alabama files a lawsuit, and all of a sudden you can give pretty much unlimited amounts of money. Is that
Well,
correct?
it's not quite exactly right. I'll defer
let
to
you
our legal eagle over here.
Well, it lifts the cap on the aggregate limits. Right. And so one of the things that Justice Breyer said in the dissent is that before McCutcheon, a rich donor could write a check for like $74,000 to the party committee. After McCutcheon, rich donor can now write a check for $1.2 million. And so one of the big complaints about the McCutcheon decision, following on the heels of the Citizens United decision, is that it just opens the floodgates when we're talking about campaign finance in federal elections.
Well, there are no limits here in Alabama anymore, right? For corporations, they can give whatever they want.
Well, and frankly, that's one of the things that has been undone the last 2 or 3 years that most people don't know about. A corporation give unlimited amounts of money, unions give unlimited money, and that's new to Alabama, but that doesn't apply to federal elections.
But we haven't seen that abused yet here, have we? We haven't seen anybody really.
Wait, what?
What are you talking about, Bill?
Well, it's because they're doing it in all these foundations.
We haven't seen it because it's happening in private foundations, and that's that's my one complaint about the system is if you're going to lift the caps on corporations and you're going to lift the caps on these aggregate limits, then the one thing that I would encourage folks to take a look at is real-time reporting reporting. And so every dollar that is put into a campaign, every dollar that is put into a committee is reported real time. And we have the capability of doing that now. And so if folks are serious about transparency, then let's make it transparent.
Well, the system we have now is better than what we had.
Is it? I don't know. I don't
well,
really
I mean,
completely
disagree.
The reporting system may be better.
That's what I'm saying.
And that it's searchable.
Yes.
The reporting system's better.
But now there's so much that's off the books that's taking place.
We've taken a huge step backwards in terms of transparency, even though we have a better reporting system.
Instead of the transparency, we've gone to the back room, smoking guns and mirrors and cigars.
But now if they actually put it on the Secretary of State's website like they're supposed to, then we would be able to trace it and look at it a lot more carefully.
Listen, we're hitting the 2-minute mark here. One of the things that we have questioned at Alabama Political Reporter over the last couple of weeks is Representative Barry Moore from Enterprise sold his house in 2012, a $650,000 cash payment he received from Enterprise Electronic Corporation, a company that is looking to get a $2 million deal out of the state.
And I think just did. I think just did.
Just did.
Yeah.
You know, and I hear he was underwater in that house, but $650, that's a ton of. What does a corporation
regardless of the appraisal price and regardless of the purchase price, if you have a company that is seeking to do business with the state of Alabama and is purchasing a sitting legislator's home, it's certainly worth
It
the
certainly
appropriate
raises eyebrows,
folks to
especially in the house that wasn't on the market to begin with, and that's
right. It doesn't look good, it doesn't walk good, it doesn't smell good. Okay, and I'm not sure how many homes in Coffee County and Enterprise are listed for over $600,000.
Wasn't that one of the complaints, and Claire, you may remember this, about Don Siegelman selling his house to somebody also?
Yeah, that was one of the first big scandals with Siegelman, was he sold his house.
And that used to be Mayor Farmer's mother's home, and they sold it, I think it was like valued at $220,000, but it was sold for $485,000. Yeah, that was an issue.
Well, I mean, a lot of things are looking more like Siegelman era than it is what the Republicans
what
promised
we thought we were
us
getting.
And what we thought we were going to get. We got about 30 seconds left. Any top of the mind subjects come up?
Didn't the Supreme Court, did they finally rule on the Accountability Act?
Yeah. The federal district court here in Montgomery did, and the judge dismissed the Accountability Act lawsuit. I expect that the Southern Poverty Law Center will appeal that to the 11th Circuit.
Well, we're going to see a lot of appeals. Listen, it's been a great show. We got to get out of here. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for watching The V. You can catch reports on AO Reporter daily, and you can catch The V on your ABC stations Sunday right here in Alabama. Thanks for watching.